This is Get Inspired with Dr. Barb show. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another wonderful episode of Get Inspired with Dr. Barb. As you know, our wonderful audience, we always have an incredible guest whose work in the area of education, it can be really revolutionary. I think that if I put all my guests together, each has something incredible to contribute. That alone can change the way we educate children in this country, I think, and beyond, because the podcast is not just relevant for the United States, I hope. Today, we have another wonderful guest. Her name is Julie Deanne. And Julie, you are connecting with us from United States. Can you mention the state you are tuning from?
Absolutely, Barbara. I'm in Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C.
That's awesome. Also, I would like to mention that Julie is a very special person. She has an incredible profession, I should say, and it's called Illumination Guide. And when Julie told me Illumination Guide, I really had no idea what that was. So therefore, we have to ask you what this means. And also, if you could tell us a little bit more about your background, because being Illumination Guide is not the only role that you have.
Yes, wonderful. You know, the term Illumination Guide came to me around the same time that everything started for me. So I will explain it in the sense of Illumination Guide to me is I'm here to help people, guide them to shine their light and create magical lives that we all love living. And because that's what happened for me. So pre-pandemic, my daughter was in middle school, and one day she came home and she's like, "Mommy, we got evacuated." And I went into shock. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm thinking the worst things, right? I'm thinking, was there some danger at school or some, terrible thing? So the long story short is it was simply that a single child was having trouble regulating their emotions, and the teacher didn't have any recourse other than to evacuate the classroom and leave that poor child alone, which of course, unfortunately, is the last thing you want to do, but you've got to account for the safety of everyone, right? Mm-hmm. And at the time, that just stuck in my brain. I was like, there's got to be a better way, right? There has to be a better way for us to help the kids, to help the teachers, the parents, everybody, right? Everybody suffers when this happens. Well, fast forward, about a year or two later, we had the pandemic, and I started meditating every day because I was at home. I had the time. I had kind of dabbled with meditation and not really done it seriously, but within 2 weeks of doing this every day, pretty much twice a day, my whole life was changed. I mean, I got inspired. I had the epiphany. That incident stuck in my mind, and it came back up, and I thought, oh my gosh, where has meditation been all my life? If I had known about this when I was younger, it would have made a huge difference. I know that I would have made different choices, probably better choices, but here I am, and I thought, if that child in that classroom had been practicing meditation daily, that whole incident probably would have been avoided. And what difference would it make? I pictured in my mind all these beautiful children just sitting there, breathing deeply every morning, and it sparked this whole, thing of inspiration. So I got inspired to write this book.
The children's
Which would you
book.
choose?
Yes.
Yeah, it's for emotional intelligence, and it's actually scenario based, right? It's tons of scenarios that shows positive thinking versus negative thinking, and in the end, you're the same, but do you want to take, the hard road, the more difficult road, or the more fun, magical road, right?
I want fun. I mean, everybody wants fun.
Exactly. But it's like, for most kids, or for most people, right, we learn this through life, but not until we get older, right? So as a kid, you're kind of struggling, because how many of us out there were taught what I talk about in my TEDx talk? I got inspired to do a TEDx talk to talk about the importance of getting meditation into the schools. And folks, when I say meditation, I'm simply talking about breathing deeply, becoming present in your body, choosing positive thoughts and imagining, visualizing positive things for your life. That's it. It's very simple. It's very simple, but not easy, right? Because otherwise everybody would be doing it
It's
already.
not easy because, and I wonder if that's true, why I think it's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
It is because when something's happening, we stressed out. We
Mm-hmm.
are not thinking about these tools first at all. I mean, some of us might even not know them. We are thinking, or subconsciously, we are reacting to
Mm-hmm.
what's happening, right?
Yes.
So even if you know that you should not be doing, you should not be reacting, but you should really start doing something that's a little bit different that helps you just I don't know, just kind of calm down and later have the time to think about, I don't know, how to react something, or do you even have to react to it, right?
Exactly.
But what you're doing is really, because we hear so much of this on social media now. Right now, everybody knows about life coaches, right? And about thinking more positively, about now neuroscience too, and the piece of that too, how it plays a role, right? In all of
Mm-hmm.
this, how we act, in the power of our thoughts, and all that we hear all about that. But how that plays out for children is not as much known. And that's where your work comes into play, right? So now, why would that be important to introduce to schools? And I think from what I hear from you, it's actually very easy, because when I hear, I mean, what meditation is, it doesn't have to be something very complex. I think when we hear the word meditation, most of us probably don't even know what that
You
is.
think Buddhas and monks and you've got to
Yeah,
sit for hours and be totally silent. No, 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 no.
that's
You
what
know,
I used to think.
right. The funniest thing is whenever you're doing anything that you love, like, with that flow state, right? Like when kids are involved in doing art or playing with their toys or playing a game, or you're out there and you might be playing a sport, or anything, that is a form of meditation, actually,
Wow.
because it's whenever you are fully present, you're connected in your body, you are aware of everything going on about you, and you are choosing to be very
Wow.
positive. You are focusing on the positive. You are bringing in that fun, that love, appreciation, gratitude, all of those. They're on the same frequency. They're the highest frequency of love, abundance, appreciation, all of that. And that is meditation. Like,
I didn't know that. So
yeah,
when let's say I've got this, I do it. Every day I try to go outside before I even look at my phone. I'm trying as hard as possible not to look at my phone, but I go outside for even like 3, 4, 5 minutes, depending on the temperatures outside. So I'm not going to lie. And
right.
I go and just to see what's going on.
Mhm.
So there is birds, they singing, they flying, they interacting.
Oh,
And so
beautiful.
I look at the trees, I look at the birds. Yes, sure, there are some houses, but there is a lot of nature, and I
Yes.
pay attention to that. So you would call it actually an act of meditating.
Yes. In fact,
Eh,
yes, just being outside and nature is so powerful and important, right? I mean, many of your listeners, you've probably heard of grounding. Grounding is simply being outside, either walking on the grass with your bare feet, or just touching a tree, or sitting on the ground. I mean, any sort of connection with nature. And you don't always have to take your shoes off, but just being in nature, because what we are of, I mean, we're carbon based. We're all energy. We're all connected. Nature is grounding and centering. So connecting with that is instantly calming you, and it's resetting your body. Speaking of which, one of the reasons why I wanted to do the TEDx talk, and I worked with my daughter during this, because the number one way to instantly calm the body, do you know what it is?
no.
Okay, because I didn't know either until I started doing the research, right? And I delved into all sorts of different energy healing and meditation, different types of
Yeah.
meditation, breathing practices, breath work, which, yes, that's an actual thing,
Right.
all kinds of stuff. The number one way I learned from Dr. Libby Weaver to instantly calm the body is to take in a deep, slow breath, and then you exhale for longer than you inhale. You extend your exhalation. And what that does is it sends a powerful signal to your mind that you're safe. So it takes you out of that fight or flight, sympathetic
Mm-hmm.
response system, puts you into the parasympathetic, the peace, the rest, digest, create system, where your mind is like, oh, we don't have to be on alert, we're safe, okay, now I can relax. And now it opens up your view, right? You've heard of tunnel vision. That happens because our mind is in survival mode. And when you're stressed, when you're breathing shallowly or you're
Yeah.
not taking those deep, slow breaths, that is the body's physiological signal to the mind that there's something to be worried about in your environment, that it's stressful. And we get in the habit of living like this because we are not slowing down. There's so much stimuli in our environments every day, right?
Yeah, there
So
is.
simply the habit of taking a few deep, slow breaths, you can do this when you're standing in line at the supermarket, when you're in traffic, when you're driving. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, these are things you just consciously bring to your awareness. Take that deep, slow breath, right?
I
And
was trying to
calm.
ask you to, if we can demonstrate it, like what would that be like and how long we have to, for how long does it have to be? Like, I
Right.
don't know, like how long is enough?
It varies, but
Yeah.
there's a couple things. There's one that is pretty popular. It's called box breathing. Simple, right? Breathe in through the nose for 5 counts.
Mm-hmm.
Hold your breath for 5 counts, and then exhale through the mouth for 5 counts, and then hold with the exhalation for 5 counts. Pretty
Yeah.
simple. It works. Sometimes some people don't like the breath holds. What I like to do, because I think it's that you don't actually extend the exhalation, but with the holds, you're still pausing yourself, so it's still powerful. What I
Mm-hmm.
like to do is breathe in through the nose for a count of anywhere from 6 to 8 seconds, or, just a count. Hold
Mm-hmm.
at the top for the same amount, so 6 to 8 seconds, but then exhale for 2 counts longer. So if you inhale for 6, you exhale for 8. If you
Can we do it
inhale,
together?
yeah, let's do that. And that's
Let's
a
do that.
that's a pretty good gauge too. For kids, you might want to inhale for 4 or 5, and
Not
then
as long,
exhale
right?
for
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
6 or 7, right?
Let's do it
But
together. I don't know if I can do a really long one.
sure, we'll just breathe in. We'll breathe in for 6.
Yeah.
That's okay. We'll hold for 6, and we'll exhale for 8. And when I say counts, like you'll see, I'm counting on my finger. I'm not doing a full second.
Mm-hmm.
So it might seem a little shorter. So
Sounds
anyway,
good.
what you want to do though is breathe in from the base of your spine, your lower belly, and really expand that belly as you're
Mm-hmm.
breathing in through your nose, because that brings in all the oxygen and it really allows your cells to drink up that oxygen, right? So you're feeding your body with good, healthy, fresh air, right? And then
Yeah.
when you hold at the top, you're allowing your body to soak it in. You're also bringing yourself present in your body. And then when we exhale, we're going to exhale through the mouth as if
Mm-hmm.
blowing out a candle, or birthday candles, which we can say for kids. Oh, right?
Yeah.
Exhale for 8. All right. So we'll do it 2 rounds.
Awesome.
Want to do 2 breaths?
Okay, so we're going to do two of these
2 of these
breath
cycles.
counts.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
sounds good.
we're going to breathe in again, expanding the belly, base of the spine in through the nose. And here we go. Hold it. Exhale through the mouth as if blowing out birthday candles. And one more. In through the nose. Hold it. Exhale.
I like it. It's important to stop after we inhale, right? Before we exhale. And
Yeah.
how long do you stop? I mean, as long as you can.
I usually hold that breath at the top, the inhale, for
Yeah.
the same amount of counts that I inhaled. So
Hmm.
if you inhale for 6 counts, you hold it for 6 counts, and then exhale for 2 counts longer. So exhale for 8. And again,
This
you
is
can.
amazing. And Julie, I can imagine, I mean, every day in the classroom, there is a kid who, how you call it, flips out,
Right.
has a meltdown. There's all these different expressions, obviously, and teachers have their own ways. But this could be really a very cool, simple strategy to teach the child.
Mm-hmm.
because this can really help with any kind of too much stress, that meltdown, whatever. I mean, every kid is different. I'm not sure if it's going to work with everyone, but it might. This is a very universal, relatively easy. They can do a little bit of practice, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not going to take as long, I don't think, that anybody can do in any situation when we, yeah, what kind of situation should we use it for?
Anytime that you feel stress or
Mhm.
anxiety or overwhelm of any sort, right? And this is again, like you
Yeah,
said, across the board. This anybody, we're all born breathing. The funny thing is, nobody is actually taught the power of our breathing. It's our most powerful
no,
tool. When you can control your breathing, you change your state, right? It helps you think clear. So think about this.
yeah,
We kind of do it instinctively, right? When children are upset or they're crying, and what's the first thing we say? Calm down, take a deep breath. We know this. It's just, it's not a conscious thing, right? Sometimes we'll say it subconsciously or unconsciously to others, but we forget to do it to ourselves, right? We
that's
have to treat
true.
ourselves the same way. Secondly, think about when you're getting ready to do something, go out and play sports or jump off the high dive, right? And
Hmm.
you got to get up your courage. What do? You start breathing really fast. Why?
Yeah,
Because you're getting your adrenaline pumping, you're sending that signal to your mind, "Hey, we need adrenaline. We need extra energy. We're about to do something exciting," right? But
right.
here's the funny thing. When the body is feeling that shallow breathing and all tingles and all hyped up, is that excitement or is it fear? Physiologically, the body is experiencing both fear and excitement the same way.
Yeah.
The only difference is how you decide to look at it. Are you expecting a positive outcome, excitement, or a negative
Hmm.
outcome, fear? So, again, learning how to control this breathing, you can really help work with the mind. And that's something I go into is this mind body feedback loop. I love helping kids and adults understand how your emotions are always feeding you. They are signals. They are
Yeah.
feedback for what you are focusing on in your mind. And so if you don't like how you're feeling, you've got to look at your thoughts because everything starts with a thought, right? Dr. Joe
It
Dispenza
does.
has a lot of research on this. So you change that thought, that's going to change how you feel.
This is so interesting because, as you can imagine, many children end up going to, to see psychologists in school, right? Or counselor, or something's going on. And I wonder, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a psychologist, but I wonder if this idea of meditation, breath work, if that ever really is any takes place,
Mm-hmm.
explored in those offices, like when the kid goes to like the counselor office or something. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, but it would be an interesting question to ask. It might not, right? The idea of breath work and using the breath, something very simple to calm down and doing it together. I would imagine, like, like counselor, let's do the breath work together
Yeah.
and with the child. I don't know if something like that is happening. I would have to ask.
I would the same, and I'm glad you brought that up because one thing that I have seen with the schools, right, is
Yeah.
the trend of mindfulness, and they're bringing in mindful practices and like moments of silence, and I think that's very good. It's very important, right?
Hmm.
And they have different videos that kids can watch or interactive things too. The one thing though that I think is missing, and it's not for every school, but the majority, right, public school system, consistency and repetition. We all know that this is the way that we form habits, right? And
Yep.
this gets back to your question about, how could we incorporate this and how could this be helpful for kids? Well, if you establish consistency and repetition, such
Right.
as what I imagined was my daughter would say that her class in elementary school, every day they started out with this morning circle time, right? So all the kids and the teacher in a circle, and I think they usually would talk about something from the previous day, or if anything happened, maybe sometimes there was something you appreciate, right? Gratitude is very important. In fact, gratitude is the second piece of what I created. So this morning circle time is basically a 5-minute practice where you could start with the deep breathing. Just
Hmm.
take 3 or 5 3 to 5 of those breath cycles, then, the kids are either standing or seated, but probably seated. Then you just get them to close their eyes if they will, but imagine something that they love, because now they're calm. They're in their body, they're fully present, and they're feeling serene, right? They're in that peaceful state.
Yep.
And you just have them bring to mind something they love, their favorite stuffed animal, their favorite pet, their, a vacation that they love or they're looking forward to, anything that brings just pure love and joy, that connects them with love and gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
have them feel a gratitude, and then you just get them to make some positive statements, like they can repeat after you, and they could start over time creating their own. But anything like, I am enough, I am more than enough, I matter, I am absolutely lovable just as I am, I choose to live a path of love, or I choose to be a great friend. You can put in stuff like this: I choose to always have great relationships. I mean, you can use kid language, you can, change it depending
Mm-hmm.
on the ages, but as long as it's positive, present tense, and you're saying it as if you already have it now, right? I am so grateful that I have wonderful friends, and I always get along harmoniously with everybody, or, I get along with people, right?
This
I
is
make friends
awesome.
easily.
So this sort of activity, it would start with breath work a little bit, and then you progress to expressing gratitude
Hmm.
for something,
Yeah.
and then this affirmation, such as "I am enough," uh,
I matter. I am
"I matter,"
significant.
right?
I am
Kids can
lovable.
come up with them as well. I've heard about gratitude a little bit
Yeah.
done in school, but this is taking it a little bit further because with the breath work, I think kids would immediately feel, I think, like ready for, they would feel calmer,
Yeah.
more peaceful. All these whatever's in the brain and stress, whatever they're thinking about, it's just like go away a little bit and leaves the room for, again, expressing gratitude and this affirmation. So this is like very really simple. It's just that we don't do this in school, I don't think. Maybe we do parts of it, and like you said, it can be maybe a part of, I don't know, once a month, some kind of mindfulness, but it's not a daily of school, right? Of schoolwork and school existence, school functioning, really. That's what it is.
Right.
That is really amazing. And do you know schools that maybe implementing this more than all the other schools? And have you heard maybe any feedback about this?
What's interesting is there are some schools I've heard about here and there, different areas that are
Mm-hmm.
doing like daily practices of some sort. There was a study done. I talk about this in my TEDx talk, and I believe it was
Yeah.
a school in California where they actually implemented meditation daily in suspensions. So all the kids that were in suspension, and they had a very high rate of, because this was done in, I think, a district with,
Yeah.
it was a more challenged district, right, all around. They had a lot of kids that were just not scoring well on tests, and a lot of, absentees, that sort of thing. They started the meditation, and so these kids are now doing this every day, and it's probably happening after school, right? Or I'm not sure, maybe it's during school.
Mm-hmm.
And within, I guess, the course of the study, I don't remember the details, it's in the talk, but within a few weeks to months, they noticed less kids in suspension. Suspensions dropped, I think, by 90%. It was
That's
huge.
unbelievable.
Yeah. And then test
Wow.
scores rose, and I mean, and of course, absenteeism declined. Just everything across the board was better. And the thing is, statistics don't really capture the full picture,
Mm,
right? I mean, they can't. Think about it. If you have these kids feeling better, and the teachers are now feeling better because the kids are able to go back into and integrate in the classroom, and they're behaving better because now they
yeah.
have tools they can use, and I guarantee you they're using them, like they're still doing them, every day. Once the kids form that habit, and that's what you
Mm-hmm.
need, is
It's about
daily and
habits. That's
consistency,
right.
right? Consistency and
Mm-hmm.
consistency and repetition. They get into that habit so that when something happens, right, and they get a bad grade or somebody says something mean to them, they
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily just react, right? they would have the wherewithal to think now their baseline has been set to calm confidence. I like to say calm confidence. So something that spikes it, they're going to go, okay, take a deep breath. All right, I am enough. I know everything's always working out for me. And then, and that takes seconds, literally, right? It's a second. And then
Yeah.
they respond and they say, you know what? So this is also, I got certified as a life coach during this whole process too, and this is why I help parents and teachers and people with all this stuff. They could choose how to respond in that situation. And the first question is it true? It's not true. You know it's not true. Whatever they said, that's not true. So is it worthy of your attention, really?
Yeah.
Teaching kids, you don't have to react just because someone pushes your buttons, right?
Especially right away, that reaction right away, right? And then you're thinking, actually, did I have to react? But
Exactly.
this is really a cool tool because it prevents all kinds of situations in which we would not like to really be. But because we reacted, we are in those situations.
Yeah.
Oh, I speak from my own experiences,
Oh,
and even as an adult. I mean, this is just really lovely work. These statistics are very, really telling. And that is probably why some educational systems, such as in Finland, are doing so well because these
yeah.
kids, they go out to nature. So what are they doing there? They are really meditating. We are, without even thinking we are meditating, right? But they absorb the nature, like
Yeah.
you said. You present because you hear all the sounds, you smell all the smells.
Mm-hmm.
So they are in fact meditating, and it's helping them so much to calm down and function better in school because of that. So it really is connecting so well. And it would be great for a school, and not only for a school that does not have access to like any nature, to really include these techniques, the breathing techniques, really inside and outside, right? There is a way of solving these problems, like, because I know it's not easy just to say, well, go out to nature. In every school, not every school has this access to nature
True.
right away, but there is other things, other techniques that can help with that quite a bit. Children,
Yeah.
they're just overloaded with daily with learning, with not having much of a break. And if you
Right.
instill this simple break, it will help them, it will calm them down, it will get them ready for a little bit more learning.
Mm-hmm.
So I just absolutely love this technique. And Julie, where we can follow your work, follow you, and connect with you, our audience, if they would like to. Also, we encourage everybody to check out your children's book, see your TED Talk. That actually is fantastic.
Thank you.
It gives everybody, you're welcome, a little bit better idea, right? And
Mm-hmm.
expands on some of those things you already talked about. So please mention all the platforms you are on.
Thank you so much, Barbara. Oh my
So
gosh.
you're
You know, you
welcome.
could tell I love this topic, so we could go on for hours.
You're
But
passionate, and it really connects so much to what I'm doing too, because it's
yes,
all about, when you think about it, I am into dog therapy. So what do kids do when the dog comes in? Well, they focus on the dog. They touch her.
present.
They they present in that moment. So when you think about it, it's a little bit like a little meditation
It is. It is.
itself. So that is really awesome, because now I'm thinking about this even in a little bit different way, in
Uh-huh.
a way that connects to your work, and it all connects and it
Yeah.
makes sense. So please tell us where you are on social
Awesome.
media.
All right. So the place where everything is available is on my website, and
Yeah.
that's www.juliedeann without the apostrophe. So juliedann author.com. I am on Instagram as Julie underscore Deann underscore, and I think again there's no apostrophe. So Julie Dan with underscores.
Hmm.
My Facebook profile, I post a lot on there. Sometimes videos of me talking about certain mindset shifting concepts, or I
Yeah.
love doing on my YouTube channel. That one, you probably have to look in the link, but it still says illuminate your life, and then it has some digits. So if you
Yeah.
just look up Julie Deann and like my book, which would you choose? You'll find it. But I also love posting short videos of these fun techniques that you can teach kids. So there's
That's
something
awesome.
fun for kids, but adults can do them too. And it just helps you in the moment, center, get grounded, reconnect with your power within, your inner peace, and be able to show up in the world in a way that you want to, so that you're now responding and choosing how to respond instead of reacting out of fear.
That is amazing. Yeah.
And my book, Which Would You Choose by Julie Deanne, is on Amazon and also in some of the local libraries I've been able to get it into.
That's awesome. And I wonder, just before we say goodbye to each other, at least for
Yeah.
this recording, if there is any another technique that you would like to share, that would be lovely if you think you could.
I would love to. This one everybody loves, and I call it the bubble. Just imagine, kids love this. Imagine as you're deep breathing and you close your eyes that there's this golden white light filtering in from above, and it's coming down, pouring over your head, around your body, in through your body, and surrounding you in this bubble, this beautiful bubble that just feels like pure love and bliss, and it just feels so wonderful. And inside this bubble, you get to choose your state of being. You get to choose how you feel. You have sovereignty inside your bubble. And throughout your day, you go through your day with this bubble around you. And anything you see that you don't like, you just imagine, boing, it just bounces off the bubble and it goes away.
Wow, I was just closing my eyes and I totally imagined myself in that bubble.
Yes. And
That is
then
so cool.
anything that you see that you love, though, like the puppies or the birds singing or anything beautiful, you allow that to absorb into your bubble and you take it in and you can keep it. But see, that's the thing. Throughout your day, no matter what's going on, you remain calm and confident inside your bubble. And anything outside of you, they have their sovereignty. They can have whatever experience. So if somebody's upset, well, let them have it. But it doesn't have to affect you. It doesn't have to, you don't have to take that on.
I love it. It's like I've got my bubble, and that's what I want to stay in the bubble. And if I don't like it, just go
Right. And if you feel
out.
yourself like, oops, you think that maybe something happened, you just reimagine your bubble, just strengthen it, and
Yeah.
it's sparkly, and it's light and fluffy and everything's bouncing off again.
I love this. And it's so attractive to think about this in that way
Hmm.
for both adults and for like the smallest kids,
Oh
because
yeah.
right, they have little sparkly bubbles too. They can be in kindergarten or even in pre-K.
Right.
And like starting these techniques so much earlier with children and make it like a part of daily routine.
Hmm.
And like you said, here they are. They can do it on their own. They don't have to be even prompted. Once this becomes their habit, that's really what we want to see.
Right.
I really
Yeah.
love it. Thank you so much. I mean, this was such a wonderful experience.
Thank
And
you.
we can't wait for the audience to tune into, and we would love to hear from everybody what you think and comments what you think about these techniques. Let us know. Connect with Julie, follow her on social media, get her book, and let us know what you think. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this, Julie, a lot. And please make sure you follow the show, Get Inspired with Dr. Barb, so you know when the next episode appears. You better push that button.
So much fun. Thank you, Barbara. I love it.
Thank you so much. This is Get Inspired